Imagine for a moment stepping into the sun-drenched islands and rugged coastlines of ancient Greece, a world brimming with legends and history. This is not just a journey through time, it's a voyage into the very heart of human civilization. Our story begins around 2000 BCE on the island of Crete, where the Minoan civilization rose to prominence. Picture a society with magnificent palaces, such as the one at Knossos, adorned with vibrant frescoes depicting athletic youths vaulting over bulls. The Minoans were seafarers, traders who connected the dots of the ancient world, establishing networks that would influence generations. Fast forward to around 1600 BCE, and we find ourselves on mainland Greece. The Mycenaean civilization flourished here, giving rise to legendary heroes like Agamemnon and Odysseus. These were the warrior kings immortalized by Homer, whose epics, the Iliad and the Odyssey, composed around 750 BCE, echo through the annals of history. Homer's tales are more than stories. They are the bedrock of Western literature, capturing the human condition in its most heroic and tragic forms. But history is not always a continuous ascent. Around 1100 BCE, Greece plunged into the so-called Dark Ages. The Mycenaean palaces fell, and a veil of obscurity descended over the El, and yet, from this period of decline emerged a new dawn, the Archaic period, marked by profound transformations. In 776 BCE, the first Olympic Games were held, a tradition that symbolized unity and competition. Ideals that resonate to this day Athenian society was transformed by leaders like Draco, whose harsh laws in 621 BCE were later reformed by Solon in 594 BCE, laying the groundwork for what would become democracy. These changes set the stage for the Classical period, a time of unprecedented intellectual and artistic achievement. The year 490 BCE saw the Greeks, against all odds, repel the mighty Persian forces at the Battle of Marathon. This was a victory not just for Greece, but for the ideals of freedom and self-determination. The subsequent battles of Thermopylae and Salamis in 480 BCE further solidified Greek unity against external threats. Amidst these conflicts, Athens experienced its golden age under the leadership of Pericles, around 460 to 429 BCE. This was an era of monumental building projects, including the Parthenon and the flourishing of philosophy, drama, and science. Socrates, whose questioning spirit and ultimate martyrdom in 399 BCE, and his student Plato, along with Plato's student Aristotle, whose works were to shape Western thought for millennia, were central figures of this vibrant intellectual landscape. Now, let us turn our focus to a towering figure in ancient history, Alexander the Great. Born in 356 BCE in the ancient kingdom of Macedonia, Alexander was tutored by none other than Aristotle himself. This education instilled in him a deep appreciation for Greek culture and philosophy. When his father, King Philip II, was assassinated in 336 BCE, Alexander ascended to the throne at the age of 20, inheriting a strong kingdom and a powerful army. Determined to fulfill his father's plans of conquering the Persian Empire, Alexander embarked on a campaign that would change the course of history. In 334 BCE, he led his forces across the Hellespont into Asia Minor, winning a series of decisive battles against the Persian forces, including the Battle of Issus in 333 BCE and the monumental Battle of Gaugamela in 331 BCE. These victories not only shattered the Persian Empire, but also showcased Alexander's military genius and innovative tactics. Alexander's conquests extended far beyond Persia. He marched through Egypt, where he was hailed as a liberator, and founded the city of Alexandria, which would become a beacon of Hellenistic culture and learning. His journey continued through Mesopotamia and into the heart of Asia, reaching as far as the Indus Valley in present-day Pakistan. Along the way, he faced formidable challenges, from the harsh deserts of Persia to the rugged mountains of the Hindu Kush. Yet his resolve never wavered. In every region he conquered, Alexander sought to blend Greek culture with local traditions, fostering a unique fusion that would shape the Hellenistic world. His vision of a united empire where diverse cultures coexisted left an indelible mark on history. However, his untimely death in 323 BCE at the age of 32 brought his grand ambitions to an abrupt end, leaving his empire to be divided among his generals. With the death of Alexander the Great in 323 BCE, his vast empire stretching from Greece to Egypt and into Asia was left without a clear successor. This led to the tumultuous period known as the Hellenistic era, where his generals, the Diadochi, divided the empire into several Hellenistic kingdoms. The most prominent of these kingdoms included the Ptolemaic kingdom in Egypt, the Seleucid Empire in the Near East, and the Antigonid dynasty in Macedonia and Greece. Each of these realms became centres of cultural and scientific advancement, preserving and expanding upon the achievements of the classical Greeks' Alexandria. In particular, stood as a beacon of learning and culture during this period. Founded by Alexander himself, the city quickly rose to prominence under the rule of the Ptolemies. The Library of Alexandria, one of the largest and most significant libraries of the ancient world, attracted scholars from across the Mediterranean and beyond. It housed countless scrolls and texts, serving as a hub for knowledge and intellectual exchange. The Hellenistic period was marked by remarkable advancements in various fields. In mathematics and astronomy, figures like Euclid and Archimedes made groundbreaking contributions. Euclid's Elements became the foundational text for geometry, while Archimedes' principles of leverage and buoyancy laid the groundwork for modern physics and engineering. In medicine, Hippocrates' legacy was furthered by physicians such as Herophilus and Erasistratus, who conducted pioneering research in anatomy and physiology. Herophilus, often considered the father of anatomy, performed systematic dissections of the human body, enhancing the understanding of its structure and functions. Philosophically, the Hellenistic period saw the rise of new schools of thought. Epicureanism, founded by Epicurus, taught the pursuit of happiness through the moderation of desires and the cultivation of friendships. Stoicism, established by Zeno of Citium, emphasized rationality, self-control, and virtue as the path to a fulfilling life. These philosophies provided practical guidance for living, resonating with many across the Hellenistic world. However, the political landscape was constantly shifting, with wars and alliances shaping the destinies of the Hellenistic kingdoms. This era of fragmentation and conflict continued until the Roman Republic began to exert its influence over the Greek world. In 146 BCE, Greece was conquered by Rome and became a Roman province. This conquest marked the end of Greek political independence, but also the beginning of a profound cultural fusion. Greek culture, with its rich heritage of art, philosophy, and science, deeply influenced Roman society. This blend of Greek and Roman traditions gave rise to the Greco-Roman culture, which became the bedrock of Western civilization. Roman elites, including figures like Cicero and Augustus, were greatly influenced by Greek philosophy and literature. Greek tutors educated Roman children, and many Romans adopted Greek customs and artistic styles. The architectural grandeur of Roman structures such as the Pantheon and the Colosseum was heavily inspired by Greek designs. Following the fall of the Western Roman Empire, the Eastern Roman Empire, known as the Byzantine Empire, continued to flourish. This era, spanning from roughly 330 to 1453 CE, was marked by profound cultural, religious, and political transformations. In 330 CE, Emperor Constantine the Great established Constantinople, modern-day Istanbul, as the new capital of the Roman Empire. This strategic move shifted the power centre eastward, creating a city that would become a thriving hub of commerce, culture, and Christianity. Constantinople's formidable walls and its strategic location on the Bosporus Strait made it a bastion of resilience and prosperity. Under Byzantine rule, Greece experienced a period of stability and growth. The Byzantine Empire preserved much of the ancient Greek heritage, including language, literature, and art. Greek became the official language of the empire, and classical Greek texts were meticulously copied and studied. This period saw the continuation of the rich traditions of Greek orthodoxy, with its vibrant liturgical practices and profound theological writings. However, the Byzantine Empire was not without its challenges. In 529 CE, Emperor Justinian I, known for his ambitious legal and architectural projects, ordered the closure of the Academy of Athens. This institution, founded by Plato nearly a millennium earlier, had been a centre of philosophical and intellectual activity. Justinian's decision was part of his broader effort to consolidate Christian orthodoxy and suppress pagan philosophies. Despite this, the spirit of Greek learning persisted in monastic communities and later in the Islamic world, where many Greek texts were translated and preserved. The Byzantine Empire's fortunes waxed and waned over the centuries, but it remained a dominant force in the eastern Mediterranean until the fateful year of 1453. That year, Constantinople fell to the Ottoman Turks, marking the end of the Byzantine Empire and the beginning of a new era for Greece under Ottoman rule. From 1453 to 1821, Greece was under Ottoman domination, a period marked by significant hardships and cultural changes. The Ottoman authorities imposed heavy taxes, and the Greek population faced various social and economic restrictions. Despite these challenges, Greek culture and identity were kept alive through the efforts of the Orthodox Church and local communities. Greek monasteries and churches became centres of education and cultural preservation. The Greek language, literature, and Orthodox Christian traditions were maintained, fostering a sense of unity and resilience among the Greek people. This cultural continuity played a crucial role in sustaining the national identity through centuries of foreign rule. The flame of resistance against Ottoman rule never entirely extinguished, and in 1821 the Greek War of Independence ignited. Inspired by the ideals of the Enlightenment and fueled by a deep yearning for freedom, Greeks from all walks of life joined the struggle. Figures like Theodoros Kolokotronis and Laskarina Bouboulina emerged as heroic leaders, rallying the people in their fight for liberation. The war was brutal and protracted, but the determination and sacrifice of the Greek revolutionaries eventually gained the support of European powers. In 1830, after nearly a decade of conflict, Greece was recognised as an independent nation, marking the dawn of a new era. After centuries of foreign rule and a hard-fought struggle for freedom, Greece emerged as an independent nation in 1830. The Treaty of Constantinople in 1832 formally recognised Greek independence, a monumental achievement following the gruelling Greek War of Independence. In 1833, Otto of Bavaria was chosen as the first king of modern Greece, symbolising the birth of a new era for the Greek state. The early years of modern Greece were marked by efforts to establish a stable government and expand its territory. The Balkan Wars of 1912 to 1913 were pivotal, allowing Greece to nearly double its size and population by acquiring territories such as Macedonia, Epirus, and the Aegean Islands. These expansions were not just territorial gains, but also reclaimed regions rich in Greek history and culture. The 20th century brought both challenges and resilience. During World War II, Greece famously resisted the Axis powers, delaying their advance and earning international admiration. However, the subsequent occupation from 1941 to 1944 brought severe hardships, followed by a devastating civil war from 1946 to 1949. This conflict pitted Greek communists against government forces, leading to widespread devastation and a deep societal divide. In 1974, Greece experienced a significant political shift with the fall of the military junta and the establishment of the Third Hellenic Republic. This period marked a new beginning, characterized by democratic governance and integration into the broader European community. Greece's entry into the European community, now the European Union, in 1981 and the adoption of the euro in 2001 were milestones that further anchored Greece within the European economic and political framework. The 21st century has seen Greece continue to make its mark on the global stage, notably hosting the 2004 Summer Olympics in Athens. This event not only celebrated Greece's ancient legacy, but also showcased its modern capabilities and spirit. However, the late 2000s brought significant economic challenges, with the Greek government debt crisis from 2009 to 2018. This period of austerity and reform tested the resilience of the Greek people and their institutions. Today, Greece stands as a testament to the endurance and adaptability of its people. From its ancient origins through Byzantine and Ottoman rule, and into its modern rebirth, Greece's history is a rich tapestry of struggle, triumph, and continual reinvention. The story of modern Greece is a powerful reminder of the strength that lies in cultural heritage, national identity, and the unyielding pursuit of sovereignty and prosperity. And there you have it, the entire history of Greece. For more content like this, comment, like, and subscribe to Chrono Tales.